everyone. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar, Home Service Trends in 2018, How to Build a Website That Will Win You More Local Homeowners. My name is Jenny Silvers, and I have my co-host Michelle Letman sitting right next to me. We're also joined by Steve Eastlack, who is ready and excited to help answer your questions. Today, we're here to talk about some of the essential elements that your website needs to have in order to be found on search engines. A big part of what we do here at Surefire is help contractors with their websites. Whether it's building a completely new website or working with the one you already have, we give you the tools to monitor and constantly improve your website performance.
And you will see a big difference in your website traffic if you follow along with our advice today. I've personally had the opportunity to see how small changes to website can mean big results, like a 65% growth in organic website traffic in 1 year kind of result.
Wow, Michelle, that's really amazing. Jeff White is here with us today. He's our Vice President of Client Services here at Surefire Local. Jeff works with our customers every single day on optimizing their websites and digital marketing strategies. So he brings a very unique and informed viewpoint to this discussion today. He'll be speaking from experience as he goes over the key elements that every contractor's website needs in order to win more local homeowners. If you have any questions for him during the presentation, you can communicate with us using the question box in the webinar control panel on the right-hand side of your screen. Why don't you go ahead and see if you can locate that right now and type in where you're joining us from today. Before we let Jeff begin, I want to mention one more thing. We're giving away a Google Home Mini to one lucky attendee, and we'll be announcing the winner for that at the end. And I will let Jeff take it away now.
All right, thanks everyone. And good afternoon. Thanks for joining for this topic. I'm excited to present it. And what I want you to take away from this presentation is a solid understanding of the main components of what it takes to have a best practice website. So we're going to cover that in this presentation. But I also want you to be aware and leave this presentation with a better understanding of how your website interacts with people searching for you and your services. Because it's very different today than it was 2 years ago, very different than 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And understanding this difference and how your website plays with the overall ecosystem of online is important to understand. Failure to understand, unfortunately, can lead to missed opportunities. So I'm glad you've joined. We're going to learn a lot. As I move through the presentation, I want you to hold on to some of these topics or phrases. You know, one is a digital footprint. We're going to get into that. Your website is just a part of your overall digital footprint. So that's one concept we're going to touch on. And then the other one is speed. We're going to show you how speed is an important factor across different aspects of your online presence. And it's about how quickly somebody can find you, information about you, whether it's your phone number, hours, reviews, your website itself, but also how your website loads for desktop and, more importantly, for mobile. And then one final thing I want to pose at the beginning of the presentation is just a simple question. What does Google want? And we're going to get into that question and the answer. And with that kind of sets the table for this presentation. So, back in the day, websites were gangly, ugly. We were just getting started, and they were link heavy, not a lot of visuals. And we all know how things have progressed to becoming more visual. And then even today, it's really customized to not only having information on a website that could be customized to you because the website can automatically detect where you are geographically. There's advertising that flies in based on other websites that you've visited. So these are quick examples of how websites have evolved. And in conjunction with the evolution of websites, it's the technology that are powering websites that has also evolved and is still constantly changing. And there's a myriad of choices out there. So how does someone like yourself, a business owner, choose which website software to go with? Well, the best thing to do is just to align with an expert, let them choose. And because it's a lot of effort and work to kind of go through and do this evaluation. So which one do you choose? Well, what is the most prominent website software out there? There's 28% of all websites are powered by WordPress. And we made the decision long ago, as we were getting started as an agency, to standardize on WordPress. And it's been a great choice, because as we roll into 2018, not only is WordPress the most prominent website software out there, but Google is now trying to become more integrated with WordPress, because it's such a friendly website software, but it's also mobile friendly. And again, as I mentioned earlier, speed counts, and that's how, an example of how, Google is looking at things from a speed standpoint, so you should as well. The other thing to be aware of is that you live in a multi-touch customer journey. As people are searching, it's not a straight shot from search to the destination. People searching can start their search, but then interact with other things, such as reading articles about that are related to their search, getting referrals and references from friends and family, doing a lot of other website visits, and interacting with display ads, remarketing ads, all along their way to kind of getting to that ultimate destination, which they started their search, they're looking for something they want to do, they want to buy, they want to go. So it's a multi-touch world, and it's not a straight one-shot deal anymore. And so, as I mentioned, how does your website fit into this big ecosystem? There's all these aspects of social, of Google's various tools, such as Google Maps, Google My Business, YouTube, and the advent of voice search. So we've got this conglomerate of various aspects of where you can appear online, how people can interact with you online. And your website is essentially your digital catcher's mitt. You want it to be well-formed, best practice website, so that as people are out there and interacting with your digital footprint, that your website is ready to receive that traffic and squeeze as many leads as possible from that quality traffic that's visiting your site. And are you aware that your business does have a digital footprint? Your website is a part of that, and so it's important to understand that concept, and that you need to manage your digital footprint, not just your website. And if you're not paying attention to it, be assured that Google is. Google's watching it, and they're evaluating your overall digital footprint in addition to your website. Key element of that digital footprint is your Google My Business listing, and Google has referred to it as the digital anchor of your digital footprint. That's how important your listing is. So if you don't have a Google My Business listing, it's important to go get it, to claim it. And why is this so important? Most searches are on Google. Most searches are from mobile devices. We just passed that benchmark within the past few months, and then most mobile searches have local intent. So you, as a business, storefront business or service area business, you are very important to Google. So taking advantage of a Google My Business listing, which is free, is a critical component of your overall digital footprint. And again, drilling a little bit deeper on this, so 65% of searches are on Google. That's 2 trillion increasing searches per year, and we just surpassed the mobile searches being more than desktop searches, with 33% of those searches showing location intent. And those mobile searches are growing at a 50% clip. And it's not a nice to have anymore. Google is now penalizing websites that are not mobile friendly, and we'll touch upon that in a few slides. And so to the question that I posed at the beginning of the presentation, what does Google want? It's to provide quality search results for its customers. Very simple when you think about it, right? And you step back and you say, how do I get to position 1? Well, first put yourself in Google's shoes and ask the question, what do they want? And it's making sure that that search results page is showing quality results. And I'll we'll walk through what does that mean and how you can help Google do its job serving its customers better. And right here's a quick checklist, right? So you're creating local geotagged content. So is your content relevant and related to what you're providing? Most likely, yes, but that's just a basic aspect of it. Is your website optimized for mobile traffic? It should be. If it's not, you're going to see a significant decrease in traffic as Google continues to roll through its mobile-centric view of the World Wide Web. And then, what's your reputation? If you don't have reviews, you can't hire an agency for that. An agency can do a lot for you, but this is an example of it. It's a team effort, and at Surefire, we can certainly build you a solid website, but we can't get the reviews for you. So we help our customers focus on that aspect of their digital footprint, make sure that they've got a process and tools in place so that they can ask for reviews, monitor those reviews, respond to those reviews. And all this adds up to building a well-cultivated, comprehensive digital footprint. And so also related to your online visibility, how is Google assessing everyone? These are the high-level ways that Google is looking at a local business. It's from a proximity standpoint, a relevancy standpoint, a prominence, and a recency. So from a proximity standpoint, if somebody is searching for a roofer and near me, then that's how Google is looking at that. Looking at physically where is that searcher, and then what are the roofing companies that are closest to you. That leads to relevancy. So is there content on that website that's specific to that roofing search phrase? And prominence. What is the overall reputation? So that's where reviews come in, other aspects of how important you are as it relates to roofing, how important you are as it relates to your local area. All those factors go into this. And then recency. How fresh is the content on your website? If you stood your website up, a few years ago and haven't touched the content, that's not going to look good in Google's eyes. As we move through and ask what's the purpose of your website, there can be many. Everything from building brand awareness, answering common questions, FAQ section, for example, customer service, generate leads. Certainly, it's all of the above. But the most important thing that we focus on our websites for our customers is the idea of generating leads, because that's what it's all about. So having these things in place can help with that. So here's a handy checklist to walk us through. And these are some of the things, not everything, but these are the higher level important things to get right. And if you don't get these right, it's how you can lose visibility, not show up in search results, hurt your traffic, hurt your lead flow. So we're going to talk about NAP, or name, address, and phone number. We're going to talk about call to actions on your website, mobile optimization, content, again, and customer service is related to that, and then something called structured data and the different types of structured data, including local. So let's walk through those. So from a NAP and call to action standpoint, with your business name, your address, and your phone number, it's an absolute must that it's on your website, and not just simply listed on your website, but on your website correctly. And then that NAP information, your name, address, and phone number is also listed exactly the same way across many online directories. This is a major ranking factor of Google. Google has been quoted as saying that it takes your Google My Business listing information and then compares it to 30 different online directories. We don't know what online directories, but the point is your information must be correct, accurate, and consistent across multiple places across the entire World Wide Web. If it's inconsistent, Google scratches its head, says, well, I'm not so sure about this business. I'm not sure if I want to serve it to my customer, so I'm not sure if I want to put it on a search results page. So that's why that consistency is so important. And then, is using an example of one of our customers, Hinkle Roofing, out of Birmingham, Alabama. We can kind of walk through, both this concept of NAP information and call to action. So from a call to action standpoint, we want it jumping out at the visitor, above the fold, and easy to access, and then consistent throughout the site. So having request a free estimate form locked in the upper right and just persistent, no matter what page they're on, helps as the visitor navigates through your website. And then the phone number, making sure that that's popping off of your page and easy to find and see, as well as click for your mobile visitors. Moving down to the bottom of the page and in the footer is where we have the address information. And again, it's not simply just listing the company name and the address and the phone number, but it's also wrapping that address information in something called schema. Google needs our help. It has indexed the entire World Wide Web, but when we take certain types of content and we wrap it in something called schema, we're just simply helping Google understand information better. And if we wrap it in schema that says, hey, this is an address, Google says, thank you very much, it sees it, and it indexes it. And so even though this is the way we would see a web page, this is the way Google sees it. And it's grading us, and it's going to tell us if we see errors or warnings or fix anything. So it's an example of you need to be on top of things like this, because simply getting your address wrong can hurt your overall visibility. From a call to action standpoint, you want to make sure that you've got tracking in place. So not only how many times people are filling out your form, which should be pretty obvious as form submits come into your inbox, but your phone number. How many times did visitors to your website call you? We have tracking in place, so we know every time a website visitor calls our customers. We can easily report that and show that overall activity. Form submits along with phone calls. And we want to make sure that the form, again, is consistently placed. And then the other thing to be aware of is your main call to action is to set an appointment. But maybe there are other touch points, such as a download of an ebook or educational materials such as videos. And we call those softer conversions. So from a website perspective, you want to make sure you've got a visual hierarchy in place. And that visual hierarchy gives more visual weight to your setting of an appointment call to action versus your download call to action. And then again, from a phone number standpoint, make sure that that is prominent and easy to see and interact with, not only on desktop, but most importantly on mobile. Another thing to be aware of in terms of a best practice on a website is that if you have a form on your website, it needs to be secure. And what we kind of commonly refer to this as the difference between HTTP and HTTPS, and the S just stands for secure. And Google is looking to again provide a good service to their customers. So if they're going to serve a link to a website, they want to make sure it's secure. And so Google has basically said good news, bad news story for folks that are still on HTTP websites. The good news is you've got until July to make the change. The bad news is the most prominent web browser out there, Google's Chrome browser, is then going to have this little note when it arrives on websites that are HTTP and let the website visitor know that, hey, this website is not secure. And keep in mind, it has nothing to do with credit cards. You don't have to be asking for a credit card through your form. It's any form that is on your website asking for information. And so this is a new update from Google. And from a surefire standpoint, we saw this coming long ago and converted all our websites to HTTPS. So let's drill a little bit deeper into the optimization for our mobile audience. So what we know in surveys and as well as through data is just that what people dislike most about when they're browsing on the web on a mobile device is slow loading pages. So mobile visitors have said this through survey results, but more importantly, Google is seeing this on the analytics side. So Google knows that shaving seconds off of a page load speed time is very important and will reward you for that and penalize you, again, as I mentioned, if you are not providing a good mobile experience. 53% of visits are abandoned if a mobile site takes longer than 3 seconds to load. So 3 seconds, compare that to what the average time it takes to fully load a mobile page. So believe me, this is going to be cleaned up quick, and this is Google's attempt at making a better online experience for its mobile visitors. It's simply going to serve websites that are faster, and those that take longer to load are going to drop in the rankings. And there are easy ways to find out. You can just Google, a mobile-friendly test and submit your website, see what Google says as far as its mobile friendliness, and start there. If your website is not mobile friendly, that window is closing to get it into shape. Another example of mobile optimization that we've implemented for our customers is accelerated mobile pages. Google started this accelerated mobile page initiative a few years ago. We've implemented it on our client sites, and what I've got is an example. And on the left side of the screen is just how a blog article looks to a regular website visitor. For a mobile visitor, we've got what that same blog looks like on the right. And the main difference is that the AMP version of the blog has been trimmed of the majority of the images, as well as other overhead elements to make it load faster for a mobile user. And it's an example of Google creating this accelerated mobile page standard and initiative, and then Surefire seeing that, taking advantage of it, and implementing it as a value add to our customers to make sure that they're on the cutting edge of a mobile optimized website. So let's talk about content. So if we, there are over 200 ranking factors. Most of them we don't know because Google doesn't tell us, but Google does tell us what the top ranking factors are, and it says that the #1 ranking factor is content. So the more content that you create that gets indexed by search engines can help lead to a rise in rankings. But it's not a one-time deal. You can't just create the content, set it and forget it. You've got to keep at it. You've got to create content so that Google sees that your website is constantly growing. Google also needs to see that that content is of value based on people interacting with it, that content showing up in search results, people clicking on it, people arriving. Google's watching how much time they spend on the page, and things like that. So all very important from an ongoing management and cultivation of your website. Other things you can do is update your website with monthly offers, and then also incorporate the overall review process and review content, getting that onto your website as well. For a well-formed website, think of it as content silos. And you want to have your website organized, again, so you're making it easy for Google to not only arrive to your website, see what it's all about, but to quickly and easily digest it so it can understand that you are a contractor who does roofing. So you want to have a page on roofing, obviously, but then a deep content silo that talks about the different types of roofing. If that's all you do, then that's all you're talking about. But if you've got additional services, roofing, siding, gutters, and so on, then you want well-formed content silos that talk about those. One page is okay, but having multiple pages that talk about each of those services only makes your website that much more content-rich and therefore much more likely to attract more visitors based on much more varied search phrases. And then being visual goes hand in hand with that. So the copy is important, but the visuals are important as well, so that when that website visitor arrives, they're navigating, they're easily navigating, they're scanning the information on the site. It's easy to navigate visually as it is to actually read and make your way from point A to point B. Also on the visual side, having a photo gallery section of your website is very important. You've done the work, capture it and show it off. Make it part of your website, and Google is increasingly interested in visual content, whether it's photos or video. If that's content you're able to create and get on your website, get on your Google My Business listing, absolutely recommend doing that as a best practice. And then again to the blog section. So this is where you have your opportunity to create relevant content, create it consistently, and then also offer a service to your website visitors as being educational. All this is good information to have and to talk about different aspects of what you're finding out there in the field, of what your customers are interested in, what their interests are, what their problems are that they're bringing to you to solve. Write about it. It's great content. It'll attract organic searches. And always remember that the customers come first. You want to keep that consistent flow of information at the top of the page, and most importantly, the call to action. Above the fold is what we mean by that, and that way, again, if it's persistent, consistent, you're more likely to get your website performing better from a lead gen standpoint. And you want to, it's okay to have longer scrolling pages, but you want to keep those call to actions above the fold. Another thing to consider when looking to squeeze more, better performance out of your website is chat. So we're seeing trends and through research as well. 44% of customers say that having a question answered in real time is helpful to them. So chat is becoming a much more accepted mode of interacting with website visitors. And I can tell you, for customers of mine that have implemented it, I've seen anything from a 5 to up to 15% increase in website conversion rates thanks to chat. A form can be fine for certain types of inquiries, but chat tends to be a nice complement to the phone number, to the form, and just an additional way for your website visitors to interact with you and do so much more quickly.
Awesome. Thank you, Jeff. I'm going to let you take a quick water break, but I want to say happy Valentine's Day to everyone. We love having the opportunity to host webinars for all of you. So I want to extend a special offer to all of you to make sure that you're showing your website some love. Join a Surefire team member for a one-on-one call, and we'll build you a new website at no cost to you if you sign up for a Surefire marketing package. We're scheduling appointments for Thursday, February 15th or Tuesday, February 20th of next week. We understand that you have busy schedules, so if either of those days don't work for you, just please email me to pick a time, and we'll help pick out a time that works best for you. What's really great about the Surefire Cloud is that you're able to see all of your website analytics, such as total web traffic, organic, paid, and referral traffic, and the most visited pages of your website, and search terms that people are using to find you. Okay, back to Jeff.
All right, so let's talk about optimizing your website for local traffic. So we touched upon this a bit earlier, but let's do a deeper dive. So we'd mentioned about NAP information, we've mentioned schema, and having this information on your website, and what it looks like to us as website visitors, but also what it looks like to Google and other search engines. And it's about this under the hood of your website setup that's so important to have and to help Google out. And to, again, in the footer area of your website to make sure that that business name, address, and phone number and NAP information is properly presented. And so as we dig a bit deeper, we can take a look at another free Google tool, Google Search Console, to see what this looks like. And we can see that not only was it, again, coded properly from a schema standpoint, but now we're seeing how Google digests that information. And we can drill into a report, the structured data report within Google Search Console, and drill down to that NAP information and see that it's been correctly picked up by Google, which is good news, right? Because now Google knows exactly where you are, business name, address, and phone number. But also in Google Search Console, we can dig deeper, get into the analytics, and see what those search phrases are that's driving traffic to your website. what's generating clicks, what's generating impressions from people searching for you, how, what position those searches are generating for your website. And then we can make informed decisions about what type of content to create. So, yeah, we worked with you in creating an initial set of content, but what opportunities are there within the search activity to say, you know what, I see a blog article topic to write on, or we're missing an opportunity on a particular roofing type because we're seeing a lot of searches related to metal roofing, but we don't have a metal roofing page. So there are things like that that are easily bubble up when we drill into this detail and use these tools from Google. And Google's never done, right? So Google is always looking and always changing. And it's been unprecedented, in the last 12 months with the changes that Google has provided, as far as tools for individuals like yourselves, as well as people like me and my team members to use to help understand Google's perception of a website and overall online visibility for a business. The latest update has been Google's new Search Console, where they've updated the layout and they've included new reports. They're rolling in new reports over time, but it's been quite informational, and we've already learned a lot as far as how to use Google's new Search Console and the info that it provides on our customer websites. So to kind of round this out about healthy online digital footprint and winning online, one thing to make sure that you do is to understand the basic principles of online marketing, and I hope this presentation helped with that. But the other thing to understand is that you need to run your business, so you need to find the right partner to help you with this aspect of your online marketing. Because ultimately, finding the right partner can help you as well as your overall team focus on the most effective marketing tactics. Once that's all in place, you're in a great position to improve the performance of your website as well as your overall online visibility. And keep in mind, it's something that you can't simply buy and pull it off the shelf. It's something that you've got to build. You've got to build and you've got to own it. You want to own everything from your domain. You want to own your website, and you want to have the freedom to move it whenever you want. Don't get sucked into a situation where you're tied to a proprietary website software system. Again, WordPress is the most prominent out there, so if you know your website is on WordPress, you've got flexibility. You want to, again, own that domain so that you can point it to a brand new website if you choose to do that. And you want to have that flexibility. There's some opportunities out there to kind of rent it versus to buy all of this. And again, you want to avoid that situation because you want to own your digital footprint. As far as key takeaways, let's walk through this. We talked about mobile optimization. So ensuring that your website is optimized for mobile and local searches is absolutely critical. As far as your website and how it looks and performs, it's tied to a clear call to action. I've seen a form added to a homepage, increased lead flow is an easy win for websites. And then content, updating your website constantly with relevant and valuable content. And again, the ownership point. Don't forget that as you take this information back home. So we also want to talk about your overarching goal. And we've talked mainly about information related to your website from the organic side. But I don't like doing presentations without doing this slide because it's important to understand, again, how Google is organizing its search results page and what it means for you. Because your overall goal is not only to build a good website, but it's also your overarching digital marketing strategy that'll rank your website in all three sections. If you can focus on organic, it is important, but a really strong digital marketing strategy combines organic plus paid strategy. And Paid search is becoming more important because Google is shrinking the amount of real estate it's giving for the organic results. Things like ads on the right column, gone. Things like the map area having 10 listings, gone. And so that's why it's important to understand, the top areas, the paid search, so you can pay for placement if you're a new business or you're moving into a new geography, or if you just want to step on the neck of the competition. Being in the paid search area is a way to make sure that you're dominating the search results page. Then in the local map area, ideally you want to be in that 3-pack, so that you're one of the first 3 results, because anything deeper than 3 is a click away, so really is no good. And that's where it relates back to the proximity, prominence, relevance aspects of having your local profile. And then the traditional organic SEO is based on the elements that we've talked about today, and a website that is built to best practices and is cultivated and managed in the appropriate way. And again, dominating the entire search results page is how you're going to get the best results out of your overall online digital marketing strategy. So in this presentation, we've really only just scratched the surface of what a great website is comprised of, and that generates great leads for your business. So let me turn it over to the team to, again, offer some goodies.
Thanks, Jeff. Before we announce the Google Home Mini winner, I wanted to offer everyone here one more opportunity to continue today's conversation and take advantage of our special webinar offer. Jeff discussed a ton of great information on how to build a more efficient website, so make sure you take a quick second to answer the poll. When you join a Surefire team member for a call, you'll get expert analysis of your website performance and see how the Surefire Cloud can help you manage it all from one platform. Plus, if you sign up for a marketing package this month, we'll build a new website for you at no cost. Who doesn't want a new website? Or if you already love your website, why not take home some free advice to make it even better? We're scheduling times for Thursday, February 15th, or Tuesday, February 20th of next week. But if these days aren't ideal for you, please let us know, and we will follow up with you through email. This is a great opportunity for you to take information that Jeff has shared today to the next level and to continue the conversation on how to optimize your website and manage your digital marketing. And earlier we mentioned how the Surefire Cloud makes it easy to see all of the analytical data collected on your website, traffic, and performance. This is a great way to see what your strengths and weaknesses are so you can adjust accordingly. So take a second here again to answer the poll, and actually while you guys are doing that, we will get into some questions that we have received from the audience. So Chris asks, we use dynamic phone numbers on our website that changes based on how someone visits our site, like PPC versus organic versus print ad, etc. In order to track our marketing efforts, would this affect our ranking?
Nope. The tracking tools are pretty good about avoiding any gotchas. Depending on the tracking tool that you're using, you can bounce that question off of them as well. But in general, the technology is advanced enough that you don't have to worry about hurting yourself organically by using phone call tracking technology.
Great. Well, Chris, I hope that answered your question. We'll move on to Nathan. He asked, can you give an example of a silo? For example, vinyl siding, metal siding, fiber cement, etc. How is that all organized?
Yep. So basically, a content silo would cut across your services. So let's say you are roofing and siding. Again, you would have that silo dedicated to roofing, so you would have a general page on roofing and then detailed pages. Just like you said about the siding, you would have a high-level description page about your siding services, but then you would have a page dedicated on each of those siding types, and then have that page obviously talk to it, but then links that are related to keyword phrases appropriate for those types of siding, and that's how you would create a content silo.
Great. All right, so Jeremy asks, what is considered a good website speed score? Anything above 75?
Yep, we're good with anything above 75. If you use Google's score, they've got a color code, and basically, if you're in the green, Google's giving you the thumbs up, and then again, always try it out, right on a mobile device and see what that experience is like. I think Google would like it if we had websites with no images on them. They would make them absolutely fine, but we have to strike that balance between the visual as well as speed, so that's a healthy tension in terms of achieving the right balance.
Great. So next question we have is from Emily, and is there a recommended number of pages to have on your website?
So there's not so much a number. In general, more is better, and in general, it's easier to get ranked if you have more pages. So if you can only start out with a few, but then make it part of your mission to consistently add pages, and basically a website that's constantly growing with content. It's there's equity in that, and as it builds up over time, that value builds up over time. So more is better.
Great. Okay, so we have two more questions, and this next one is from Rachel, and she wants to know how often should we be updating pages like our About Us or our service pages?
So, About Us doesn't need to change that much unless you as a company are evolving and it requires updates like that. Same thing with services. If you're adding new services, you want to update it from that standpoint. But it's not so much what pages are changing, it's just the site overall, and that's where the blog section gives you the most flexibility, or the photo gallery gives you the most flexibility to be adding content. And then sharing that content, that's the other thing. If you are creating a blog on a regular basis, then you should be posting it to your social sites, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, on a regular basis as well. That's an example of a signal where Google sees your website is growing, but it also sees have related social sites. There's activity on those social sites. That's an example of all those components playing together to help your overall digital footprint.
Awesome, great information. So we have another one, actually we just got another one come through, so we have two more now again. Scott asks, can you further explain what above the fold means?
Sure. Essentially, when a visitor arrives on your homepage for the first time, it's everything they see in that browser when they first arrive. So that's what we mean by above the fold. In that above the fold, we definitely want to present the call to actions, the form to set an appointment, the phone number to call, click to call, as well as any other important information, such as promotional messaging, things like that.
Cool. All right. So we had a question earlier from Nathan, and he has a follow-up question regarding the silo. So would they be all accessed off the main menu?
Yeah, they would be. So you basically have your main navigation would have citing as a main nav option, and then a drop-down menu where each of those different citing types would be listed. So ideally, they're all one click away from a homepage visit, and then that's how they're organized in a silo form.
All right. Well, Nathan, I hope that helps you out there. And then we have one last question before we move on to the Google Home Mini winner. And Ron asks, we are located just outside of our main service city, which typically gets used for search, and as our city address doesn't match, how do we get around this so we appear higher in searches?
Good question, common question, and a main challenge, especially as Google is evolving. It's local algorithm, and the best thing you can do is physically be in the area that you're targeting. If that's not possible, the next best thing to do is to, from an organic standpoint, make sure that you've got a page dedicated to the town that you're targeting. And that's a way to get some organic visibility. However, what works even better than that is paid search advertising. because from a paid search standpoint, you can get incredibly targeted to not only the town that you want to target, but, you know, geographically you can target, zip code wise you can target, you know, demographic information you can target. And as I mentioned on the previous slide, that search results page is shrinking for the organic real estate that Google's giving. And another reason why you should consider paid search, especially if you're in that situation of not physically being in your target service areas.
All right, well, those are all of our questions. Thank you, everyone, for the fantastic questions, and thank you, Jeff, for the awesome answers. So we're going to move on to the Google Home Mini winner, and the Google Home Mini winner today is Tim Matroli. Congratulations, Tim. Please email marketing@surefirelocal.com with your full mailing address, and we will ship that right out to you. Huge thanks to Jeff and to all of you for taking the time out of your day to join us. We hope you learned something new and look forward to seeing you on more upcoming webinars. If you happen to miss out on the polls, I'm going to be extending them, and you'll have a chance to hear more about how Surefire Local can help your business by emailing marketing@surefirelocal.com, or you can visit our website at surefirelocal.com/ourstory. Also, please take a minute to fill out the survey at the end and let us know how we did today and what topics you would like to hear about in the future. We love checking out topics you suggest when we plan our future webinars. Thanks again, and have a great afternoon.